Hello, guten Tag. Welcome to my channel. My name's Greg, and this is Englishman in Deutschland. Okay, so I just want to make a few adjustments to the mic. It's a bit in my face, sort of in the way of my double chin. Anyway. Lock this up. 0 degrees today. Friday, 9th of January? I don't know. Time is... I've forgotten to put my watch on. Yeah, this is my first YouTube video, and I don't know how it's going to go, but got to start somewhere. So, yeah, right now I've just come out my front door, and yeah, this is our back garden. And yeah, let's get going. I hope I don't bump into too many people, actually, because I don't know, I just find it a little bit embarrassing. Yeah, as you can see, it's been snowing, and we've had the shovel out, both of us, shoveling away last night. So I'll just put this away. So, yes, let's get down here. You can hear people in the background there in the distance, scraping away. Two ways we can go here. I can go that way, which will take us into Ghana, or this way, which will go today, which just heads into the woods a little bit. It's a bit more isolated, a bit more peaceful. Good morning to you too. Here we go. That's better. So this way, yeah, just to say again, this is the way into Sangerhausen. Sometimes we'll come down this way if we're coming out for a walk, just to stretch the legs, get a bit of fresh air. Yeah, it's a nice little winter wonderland where we are. And yes, so I'll switch it around to me. Hello. Oh, Christ. This is so bizarre. Literally, if I see anyone coming my other way, I'm fucking hiding the camera. I'm not used to, don't know, being on camera. I'm the one behind it. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I have no idea where this is going to go, honestly. But I've been... you know, I've known about YouTube since it started, but I probably just started really watching it about 5 years ago during COVID, because, you know, we all had so much time on our hands, and you know, everyone was in the trend of doing the gardens, baking sourdough and all that stuff. When I had my house in Lee, I transformed my garden, and then in between that I was just doing house stuff, and then when I was chilling out, I was watching restoration videos on YouTube, car restorations, house renovations, God, I don't know what else, road trips, that kind of stuff really. And yeah, I got hooked. And then it's only really this sort of past couple of months that I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. And I thought, what can I talk about? And you know, people talk. I've watched a few YouTube videos about saying, you know, what to do, what not to do. Work on a niche, don't work on a niche. Are you going to be an archaeologist? Are you going to be an architect? In terms of a YouTube creator, meaning that if you're an archaeologist, you're sort of searching around until you find something that sticks. Or are you a serial planner? You know, you're working out all the finer details, so you know exactly what you want, and then you make the video. I'm not really paying much attention to any of that. I'm just going to go with the flow and see what happens. I kind of got an idea in my head what I want to achieve, but let me tell you, from the top what I want to do for this channel. And yeah, it's basically, as the title says of the channel, Englishman in Deutschland. And what does that mean? Well, what's life like in Germany, basically. I'm 41 years old. I've lived in Germany permanently now, solidly for 2.5 years since we moved here to Sangerhausen. Before that, we were in Berlin, me, my wife, and 2 kids at the time, with a third on the way. And then someone's coming, so I'm going to switch off. The person I just walked past, I thought I was being all incognito and secretive. I tried to hide the camera, but then I realised I've still got the fluffy mic on. so yeah, no doubt he thought I was a weirdo. I'm just not really comfortable sort of engaging with people when I've got a camera in my hand, because I don't know what it is. It's just like, I don't know, maybe I just don't want to engage with the, what you're filming, or I need to really sort of get used to that. Anyway, where was I? Yes, we were in Berlin before that, and yeah, we decided to come here in 2022, August 2022, and that's when my wife Kristen was pregnant with our youngest, and we've been here ever since. But before that, I was in the UK. I was in Manchester, and from Stretford, born in Urmston, and went to university in Preston, University of Central Lancashire, and then darted around all over the place really. God, I'm trying to keep this brief, but there's just so much to tell you about who I am and why I'm here. I don't want to say how to move to Germany or any of this stuff, because it's so complicated, and what I've done in how to get here has been complicated in itself, and it's not the same as I imagine what most people would be looking for, because my wife's German, and we got married in the UK, and then I applied for residency over here, and then got a job, and blah blah blah. But it was a complicated process. I suppose I'll touch on that a little bit. I'll start with the history of how I met my wife, actually. It's always a nice little story. We met in Thailand on an overnight boat. Going from Koh Tao back to Suratani, sort of South Thailand, if you know Thailand. It was incredible, really. That was back in 2013. And it was just it was insane. It was I think it was a 7 or 8 hour overnight trip, and I was in Thailand for about 6 weeks, February to March, April, I think I'd done a week in Bangkok. And then I'd had enough. I was like, oh God, I've had enough. I didn't want to stay in Bangkok for more than a day or two. But I ended up a whole week there, because the saying goes, once you're in Bangkok, you can't leave. But I managed to. And I think I flew down to Koh Samui, spent a couple of days there, and then went over to Koh Tao. And I think I was there for about 10 days, just getting absolutely wasted, and then I was just exhausted. I was like, right, time to do some sightseeing and some culture stuff. And I'd struggled to get this overnight boat booked. Every day I was going over to the operator to try and get a boat out, and they were either closed or they had nothing available. And then I managed to get one. And I remember walking down and I put my bag to one side with all the others, and it was about an hour or two's wait, I can't remember exactly, and then I came back and went down, and basically it's one of these, it's not a rickety old boat, but it's just an old boat basically, and I didn't know what to expect, will you have your own cabin or what, and I boarded the boat, and yeah, you go down into what is basically the engine room, and basically it's like two platforms or benches, if you like, where you sleep on with little mattresses, and underneath you put your bags. And I was walking down, and me being a dick, I was wearing a cowboy hat, and and I walked down, looked right, it was full of people, looked left. First person I saw was my wife, my future wife, and yeah, we just locked eyes instantaneously. It was just kind of like, oh wow, gosh, it was just amazing. Like I can't describe how, like, you think, wow, she's special, this is a special moment, and I'm like, usually in those situations I'm so anxious, but I was just like, put on my most English charm, and I went, oh, hello. I can't remember what I said, but I know it was something like that, and put my bag under the bench, and took my hat off and jumped up, and I said, I can't remember what I said, but I was, probably along the lines of, hi, I'm Greg, blah, 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 I don't know. And then we just fucking stayed up the whole night talking. There was a drunk guy sleeping next to her friend, who had been sat out on the hull for a few hours, and then he came back and went to bed, and we thought, should we go out and look at the view? And we did that, and it was just incredible. The stars were out. We saw these green lights every so often. The squid lights, basically, to attract squid. And we were just talking for ages, and there was a little kitten as well, like a stowaway kitten, that was hiding amongst the bags and the equipment, the boat equipment. And yeah, then a few hours later we arrived at our destination, and we went our separate ways. Stayed in touch for a while, and then just kind of lost touch. And then fast forward to 2019, I was so fucking miserable, so unhappy, and just where I was in life, there's just nothing going for me apart from work, and that was it. And I just get a random email. And at first I was like, oh, is this junk? Someone's copied my contacts or whatever, and it's just using a sort of a copied email address. And then I was like, oh, let's have a look, because this is a blast from the past. And it was from my wife. And yeah, I read it and I was like, oh my God, wow. And then we just started talking from after this. She was coming over to the UK, and she said, do I want to meet up? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we met up, and that was in Weymouth, and yeah, the rest is history, really. I could go into more detail about that, but yeah, that's the long and short of it. Just coming up now to a little sort of I don't know what you'd call it, really. It's a pension. They call it a pension, which is basically like an accommodation, German accommodation. It's not much, but you have these little cabins, and there's a restaurant up there, and whenever I've never seen anyone here. It's always really quiet. I'm just going to be really careful, because I think there might be, I don't know if there is, but if there's some people, I'll switch off, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, just going down this hill. Okay. So yeah, we're just getting a little bit nearer to Sangerhausen. I'm not going to go into Sangerhausen. I'm just going to come up to the park and then head back. We bring the kids here sometimes to have a play on the playground. Oh God, that smells amazing. Wood burning. Anyway, let's get up here. So yeah, so that's the background, and yes, let me just check my notes. What did I want to say? YouTube channel ideas. Who I am, where I'm from. Yeah, I've said my background. Where I'm from. Yeah, so I'm from Stretford, which is in Manchester, a suburb of Manchester, and yeah, I grew up there. What can you say really about the place? It's not that great. It's sort of on the up a little bit. But yeah, I'll probably talk about that in another video, I don't know. But yeah, coming from Manchester to Sangerhausen via Berlin, and where I'm from, I don't know, man. What do you say to that? The differences, I suppose. What are the differences? There's lots of differences. How is it as an Englishman in Deutschland? Ein Engländer im Deutschland. Hey. Yeah, it's tough. Well, it's not that tough. It is tough, but it's not that tough. The only tough thing is language. That's one thing that I want to talk to you about. What I'd like to talk about on this channel is my sort of progress with learning German and sort of the ups and downs of it, and getting my head around it, because it's so difficult when you've got a full-time job and you've got kids and a family and you work shifts. It's really difficult to get into a routine of finding the time to sit down and properly learn it. Get in the zone, be present, and just really focus on the sort of the intricacies of the language. Like the case system, dirty, das, dem, den. It's, oh my God, it's so complicated. But the more you learn it, the more patterns you see, and yeah, it's just my sort of. I just want to see how I do with this. How I get on. Learning the language, because it takes time. A lot of people can achieve fluency in a few months' time, and I read about that kind of stuff on Reddit and Instagram and all kinds of stuff, where you see people achieving C2 in 6 months. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how is that possible? And you read a bit more about them. It's like they've got they've got nothing else going on in their life. I'm not saying this is a negative point of it. I'm just saying that this is like, they don't have a family, they're full-time studying, blah blah blah, and they're usually posting like tips and what work for them, and I'm like, that's great, that's really good for you. I can use some of those tips, but generally it's like, how does that work for me? So that's actually one thing that that I hope might help anyone that watches this, is if there's any other fellow expats in Germany learning the language, what's working for you, or just to sort of empathise really how it is as a sort of, as a father of three girls, full-time working dad, and I know you're probably already thinking, don't you talk German to your German wife? And I've a few of my tutors have said, I said, talk German to your wife, or a few people, friends and family have said this, and yeah, look, it's not realistic. I think I'll go a bit this way, a bit more this way. It's just not realistic. Like, my wife, she talks fluent English. She's amazing. And it just, honestly, it doesn't work. It's, you know, when you come home at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is, you just want to switch off. It's not the last thing you want, the first thing you want to do is just switch off. The last thing you want to do is, you know, further engage your brain in trying to work out how to put words together in another language. And the one thing I actually do is I talk German to the kids, to the girls, and so that's my practice. However, we're teaching them to be bilingual, so a lot of the conversations that take place are in English. So, you know, I am trying, and the only time I sort of get to really sort of learn the language is when I've got time off from work, where I have a dedicated day of home office to sit down and go through the course that I'm on at the minute, and that's the only time I get. Whereas really, you know, what would really help me is if I was doing it full time every single day. I'd no doubt be fluent by now. I'm only A2.1, and I could talk to you about that for days and days, but it's a struggle. There are times where I understand what's going on. I can understand conversations. I understand the gist of the conversations that are taking place at work, for example, or at home. But for the most part, when it comes to speaking, it's very broken, you know, and I can make myself understood, but there are times where, you know, if I'm at work, I have to whip my phone out, get DeepL, translate on, and try and communicate that way, but it's not great. But luckily, you know, it's sort of what I can say with German people is that they're very understanding, you know, and they, you know, 99.9% of them want to talk English to you. So that's always a challenge, because they just know straight away that you're a stupid English person, can't talk German. So they sympathise, and they usually say, we can talk English if you want. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Just going to switch around, actually. I'd like to do a video about this at some point. Over there in the distance, right there, is our hill, our mountain, what Sangerhausen is famous for. There's a few of these dotted around the region. I can't remember the name of it. It's right there. It's called Halde Hohe Linde. Halde Hohe Linde. It looks like a volcano. But yeah, it's a very impressive view when you go into town. The main high street. There's famous pictures that you can see with the hill in the background, and it's quite a popular site for hiking. And when you get to the top there, you get a fantastic overview of the town of Sangerhausen. So that's a video for another time. Moving on, I don't know whether to go left or back the other way, because there's all traffic heading into town that way. And I don't want to go into town just yet, because this is just my intro video. Get away. I'm using a black mist filter today. I don't want to use the wide angle, but anyway, I'll cut all this out. I'll head back. I feel like a right dick. So sorry, just because I always think of people who do this. You know, when you're watching the video, you think, oh yeah, this looks really great, but if you see it from, you know, if you zoomed out of that and you had another camera, like a virtual camera, just following that person, and they're walking around holding a camera, talking to themselves, it'd look like oh god. So yeah, that's how I feel right now. Another thing that I'd like to achieve with this channel is, I should tell you what I do here. I'm a video producer for a hotel, and basically I do videos for their social media channels, and I was really lucky to get that job. And I actually they weren't looking for a video producer, they were looking for a kitchen assistant. So I applied for that because my first ever job was in a restaurant, working on a pot wash. And I thought, we need a job. Kristen's on maternity leave, she's on reduced pay, and we've just moved here and we've got an expensive house to pay for, bills, blah blah blah. I need to get a job, and I didn't want to keep on freelancing, especially with a baby on the way. It's just not feasible or practical, and I was ready to get a full-time job. I was nervous because I knew that there'd be politics and everything, which there is, but overall I'd just be really happy to just have a regular income. And I thought nothing of it. I thought, okay, well, let's see how this goes. They don't need, German's not a necessity, so I was like, fine, I'll go for it, see what happens. Went along for an interview, and they checked my CV and they were like, oh, with your background, it would be great if you could do some videos for us, but we don't know if you can do like the whole 40 hours per week, so why don't we do a split of you working in the kitchen 50-50 with being a video producer. I was a bit nervous, I was a bit sort of reluctant. I was like, I'm kind of wanting to leave all that behind, I don't want to do videos again. It's just, managing expectations from people. What time is it? Oh, I forgot my watch. So being a video producer, I was a bit reluctant when they said, why don't you, make some videos for us? And I was like, I had to put on a brave face and was like, yeah, that sounds good. But I was like, inside I was like, oh, fuck, no. But, I needed the job. And they offered a bit more money. So at the end of the day, I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, my worry was sort of the expectations about it, and just the sort of the loop, not necessarily the loopholes, but the obstacles of trying to get organised with stuff. If you're trying to film in a hotel, and I experience these difficulties now, it's really difficult to get anything done. And that's not just making videos, that's with across all departments in a corporation. It's really difficult to get anything sort of organised because everyone's shit just slipped. Everyone's doing their own thing, everyone's really busy. And a perfect example of that is when I was trying to make a Christmas video, for sending out a Christmas message to our guests and employees and everyone. It was so hard to get everything organised because you're not working on a film set or anything, where there's a call sheet and everyone's got call times and everything. Everything's really spontaneous, and you're flying by your seat of your pants. I don't know. You know what I mean. Shooting from the hip. Anyway. Yeah, I work in the kitchen as well, which is fine. It's physically hard, but it's fine. It's you can switch off and you just concentrate on just getting stuff done basically. And everyone in the kitchen is super professional, really nice. There's stresses and everything, but in a kind of a good way. Because no one's got time to mess around or get involved in anything. It's just because there's stuff to do, stuff to crack on with, and I really respect that. And yeah, I'm really lucky to have that job because it's a good combination of office work and physical work, and I'm kind of grateful to have both because it means I can. It's just two different jobs in one, but what it does mean is that I work shift patterns, so I end up working early some days, super early, getting up at 4 a.m. to be at work for 6, and but it means I get to have a couple of days off during the week and just relax. Obviously learn German as well with one of those days. And yeah, it's just like I say, it's so nice to have a regular income. And it wasn't something I was used to until the sort of the latter stages of when I was working in the UK. In the film industry, I started working on dramas towards the end, and that was nice. I was getting weekly pay, for my kit and for me as an operator. But it was all relative, It was like that was all, it's not my pay. It's the company pay. It's my business pay. I never really took anything. I never really took a wage on paper. I take a salary, but it was only like on paper, like I say, it's only like $9,000 or whatever it is, and the rest in dividends. But most of it went back into the business, and a lot of it went out. I think I had about $3,500 worth of expenses per month. And that's not to say I had really good months, but my point being is that it was really nice to get a regular income. But I just didn't want to be in that industry anymore. I really hated it. And yeah, I was really glad to come away from it in the end. I think that's part of the reason why I was so happy to come and live in Germany. I'd done 3 or 4 jobs in TV and film, commercials, blah blah blah, and that was nice and cool actually. But it wasn't something I enjoyed, and yeah, I was really grateful and really happy to finally get a full-time job. And I did it for 20 years, roughly 20 years, pretty much since I left uni, in the camera department. I actually started off as a runner, locations assistant, hated it because of the politics of, working in production. And I moved into the camera world because that was what my degree was in. Even though I had no particular interest in technology or cameras, I didn't know anything about them until I did it at uni. I just wanted to be like a film, of course, as a young'un who likes films. And what we're doing? Sorry, am I even recording? Yeah. I wanted to make my own films and star in them. And yeah, I wanted to do anything to do with that. But what I actually ended up doing was a course that was more about the technology and the technical side of the video and filmmaking process. And yeah, I just kind of fell into that really, without any sense of direction. And yeah, I ended up in the camera department doing everything from camera assisting, focus pulling, operating, until I sort of eventually fell into doing playback, which is it's just if you've got a team with you, it's fine. But production never wanted to pay for a full team. It was always you having to do everything, and it took the piss. It really did. No matter what you did, no matter what you said, they just didn't listen. They didn't want to support you. So you're like, well, it's just going to slow you down in the end. But it doesn't matter because you're the dick. You're the one it goes back to. And that's the state of play, really. At the end of the day, it's like I'm glad to be away from it now. The reason I stayed doing it was because, one, I was too lazy. It was all to try and find anything else. I didn't necessarily want to go and I've just studying shit. For fuck's sake, man. Ew, more horse shit. Where's the gimbal gone? Come here. Sorry. I'm here. Get my face. There we go. Oh, sorry about that. And what was I saying? Yeah, so I was doing it for 20 years, camera department, freelance jobs, Hated it. Literally every single job I worked on, killed my soul basically. Why did I carry on doing it? Because money was good. It afforded me a sort of a freer lifestyle, where you do a job for 2 or 3 days and then you're chilling out for however long. If you're lucky, those 2 or 3 days can sort you out for the month. And yeah, it was just a free time. But I was just in my free time. I was just very lazy, just happy to just chill out. And again, I didn't have any sense of direction in life. All I was happy to do was just work and chill out and save up for a house, and that was my only goal, I think. And then when I bought my house, 5 months later, 4 months later, is when my wife got in touch. So it took me sort of, if you like, 15 years to get to where I wanted. I'd bought my house in Lee, and then I started doing it up. And then my wife got in touch, and I was like, great. And you didn't know at that stage whether Chris and the girls were going to come over to me or I was going to go over to there, but I ended up coming over here, and I'm really glad I did. And here we are. But just to again sort of reiterate the goals for the channel, what I'd like to do here, I'm going to switch it around actually, because it's nicer to look this way. I think this is my pathway heading up to there, coming up to the stables again on my left. Goals for the channel. Just a sort of life in Germany as an Englishman expat. Road trips. We do a lot of road trips. Well, we don't do a lot of road trips, sorry. Once or twice a year we'll go over to the UK for our annual holiday, and most of the time it's over to Weymouth, because it's obviously it's got a place in our hearts, because it's where we got married, and we just love the place. And in a few weeks' time, in January, we're going to head over to Edinburgh. We're going to take the DFDS ferry from Ijmulden, Amsterdam, up to Newcastle, and then drive up to Edinburgh. So really looking forward to that. It's a much needed break from the Christmas, New Year period for both of us. Road trips, do that. Gardening. We've got, it's not a brag, we've got a ridiculous, massive garden, and it's a lot of work, especially in the summer when the grass constantly grows and you've got an old knackered lawnmower. It takes about 3 or 4 days to go through it, and what I'd like to do is once the snow clears up and spring comes around, is really get on top of it when I'm not working, on my days off. I'd like to buy a lawn tractor. I'll do videos about that, and just really neaten up the garden and show you the progress. What else? My German learning. Come back to me. Yeah, my German. Mein Deutsch is schlecht. My German is bad. It's traurig. Terrible. One of the things with learning German is the pronunciation of the letter R, and I don't have that unless you've got a load of phlegm in your throat or you're a Scouser. Sorry. It's quite, for me it's quite difficult, because I've got quite a, I don't have a dry throat, but it's just traurig, or ish. Thankfully a lot of people just say ish. Ich bin Greg, some Beispiel, for example. The German side of that, when they're with their English pronunciation, is they struggle with pronouncing the, because their pronunciation of things is always z. There's a lot of that in their language. So yeah, that's another thing. That's another point. I'm sure there was something else. Oh yeah, just little videos about Sangerhausen and the region of Saxon-Anhalt. Yeah, I'd like to try and do these once a week, if I can, if I have the time. I was saying yesterday, actually, just off topic, I'd like to join the gym, not because it's January and it's a New Year thing, but because of my back and just general health, really. It's sort of, I really struggle these days. I really feel my body sort of, as I'm getting older, it's like little things are starting to amplify, but especially my lower back. And I just think it would be really nice to actually get out and do some proper exercises. I'm usually a bit cynical when it comes to gyms or anything that involves equipment, because I just think, why pay for anything, which is perfectly understandable. When you can just do exercises at home or yoga or anything like this. But it's not just my back; it's my overall health and fitness that I'd like to work on. So yeah, there's that. Let me just check my phone, see if there's anything else. I'm sure there was. My goals for this channel: lose weight, my German learning progress, cooking. Hey, yeah, I work in a kitchen. I did Christmas dinner. That was awesome. Yeah, we could do a bit of that. Gardening and travel. I'm sure there's other stuff. But yeah, topics. Life in Sangerhausen, life in Germany, learning German, travelling, road trips, driving to the airport, taking the ferry. Love the ferry. Garden, veg growth. Yeah, vegetable growing and cooking. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is a channel it's not for anyone really, it's more for me. And yeah, if you like it and you're happy to follow along, that's great. Hit the like and subscribe button. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I just said that. You don't hit the button, do you? You just tap it, and it's not one button, it's the like and subscribe button. Oh, Christ. Anyway, I had to get that out of the way, didn't I? But yeah, who knows where this goes. Like I say, most of it is just for me, really. See what happens. I'm just wondering whether I should just head home now. Maybe I'll show you the garden. Yeah, if you've got any tips, let me know what you like and what you don't like in the comments. I like feedback. God, it sounds so corporate. So yeah, just going back up to the house. Our garden starts here, along this fence, goes around the back of the house. And that's our garage. That's not ours, this hill. And post box. So yeah, hi. That about covers it. I've waffled so much. I'm gonna have a nightmare editing this, but I'm looking forward to it. And there's so much I've missed that I wanted to talk to you about. Again, why I moved to Germany. It's because of my wife. She's amazing. And I wouldn't have done it for anyone else. Yeah, because like I say, when we first met on that overnight boat, for me at that time, and it's a bit soppy, but yeah, love at first sight. That was it for me. And then anyone I met after that was just, I was always comparing. I was just like, I was at that time, after meeting her and thinking nothing's ever going to happen, I was setting myself up to live a single life, and yeah, and then she came back. So yeah, video next week. What can I talk to you about next week? I don't know. But I'd like to try and do these once a week. Maybe I'll just go on another walk and maybe do a part 2 of maybe some things I've missed in this episode. But yeah, the overall gist is an Englishman, expat, living in Germany, learning the language, dealing with permits, permanent residency, working a full-time job, what that's like, and just life in general, holidays, family life, visiting restaurants, customs, German holidays, German customs, traditions, etc. So yeah, we'll do that in episode 2. Okay, thanks for watching. See you later.